Hi guys, good afternoon, evening here on our Facebook group. Today I'm going to touch a bit on a specific kind of focus that tends to sabotage our healing. One of the big challenges in actually having a full recovery from narcissistic abuse or discard trauma, or actually escaping the maze of codependency, is understanding how our mind, our focus, shapes our healing experience. And how the hell do you even know if you're healing, right? One of the biggest challenges we all experience is what I call the back to square one syndrome. It's like, oh, I reset. I didn't make any progress. I'm back at square one, right? If that's something you can relate to, hit the like button or hashtag or comment below, because this is something we all encounter. We feel like we one step forward, two steps back, that kind of thing. Because we have a misconception about how healing works. And this comes in with a focus that's called linear healing. We think healing is a straight line. We think it should go from point A to point B, and it should be permanent in that shift if it's actual healing. Now, there is some truth behind the idea that actual healing leads to a permanent change, but it doesn't happen just once sometimes. Sometimes we have to reinforce this over and over because of the way the human brain works. See, the brain works on a pattern basis. It likes patterns and it likes structure that are found in patterns. One of the big patterns we all have is a thing called a habit. A habit is a pattern of doing something over and over and over in a certain way. Well, healing is rewriting a pattern from one state to another. This is how we accomplish this transformation in the way we think, the way we feel, the way we perceive things. But it requires some reinforcement. It requires a new pattern to be repeated over and over for the brain to get it, okay? So that's one of the focuses we need to cultivate in this is that, hey, I need to reinforce this pattern. It's one of the positive, empowering focuses that allow us to actually continue to persist and to heal. Now there's a bigger trick here. How do you know if you're healing? How do you know if you're actually making progress? There's a couple ways to actually determine this. Way number one specifically has to do with an external feedback mechanism. You need a person that understands the path, understands what the milestones look like, that can point out how you're doing and say, hey, yep, you accomplished this. Here's where you're going. Here's what you're probably going to encounter. That's what a guide is for. A mentor, even a qualified therapist, will know how to lead you down that path. Will be able to help you understand what you're facing. But then we also need to be able to determine if we're actually healing on our own. We need to have some sort of objective way of determining this. And this requires a shift in our focus and a shift in the way we perceive healing. So rather than trying to figure out if we've finally made it to point B, we need to look at something I call the gap. The gap is the space between where you were and where you are right now. And that gap is going to tell you if you're making progress. That's why in the cycle of healing, when we come back to square one, as we call it, we can actually slow down and pay attention to the difference we're aware of in our perception. So you come back around and you see that you've got some more shame coming up. Slow down. Pay attention to that awareness of the shame. Did it get smaller? Does it not quite fit anymore? Do you find yourself thinking a little differently than you used to about it? Maybe you don't identify with it as much. Maybe you don't need it as much. These are the shifts that tell us that you're making progress. Those are the gaps, the space between where you were and where you are. That's how you can gauge your progress. And that's important, because when we start to see our progress, we start to see those gaps, we become more confident in our ability to heal. This then creates a feedback loop. It reinforces the new habit because the new habit's working, it's producing results. And that allows us to expand into our healing, go a lot faster and a lot deeper, and get more creative and more playful with it. This moves us out of like stage 1 of healing, which is the victim, where we're very reactionary, and moves us into stage 2, where we're more of a survivor. We're becoming more deliberate about our healing. If we persist in this, it'll move us into stage 3, which I call creator. This is where healing actually becomes a creation. We're able to create a life we like, rather than just trying to put out problems and fires and recover. We're actually creating things we want to have. So the thing you need to be mindful of in your focus is the gap. What is the gap in your progress? Look at where you were and look at where you are. Do not look at where you were, where you are, and then where you want to go, because that distance right there will always feel like it's, a couple universes away, and that's going to discourage you. And it's not a valid judgment for where you're at. The only 2 points that matter in determining if you're progressing is the gap between where you were and where you are now. If you use this focus, use this as part of your mindset, part of your energy, part of your action, part of your choices, you choose to look at things this way and act from this awareness, your healing is going to take on a different experience for you. It's going to become something you want to do. It's going to become something that's enjoyable, and it's empowering. Healing becomes a strength, a muscle. It's where we find out that, yes, I can actually do this. I can reshape my life. I have the power that Marshall keeps telling me I have. You get to experience it for yourself. So that's what I want you guys to think about today in your healing. What is the gap you're seeing in your progress? It's like, wow, I was here and now I'm here. Celebrate the hell out of that gap. It matters. I don't care if it's tiny or 10 miles long. When you see it, celebrate it, honor it, and that's just going to train your brain to do more of it. So that concludes today's training on focus. I appreciate you guys being a part of the community. Thank you for supporting each other the way we are. And if you're ready to really jump in and take control of your happiness, take control of your healing, and get into a structured healing program, then join Codependency to Confidence. You take the workshop at the link above at workshop.freetheself.com. That'll train you in the true cause of codependency, and I'll give you the 3 steps to actually heal it and give you an opportunity to enroll in Codependency to Confidence. And if you're looking to break free of your trauma, you're ready to actually experience closure, then get on the wait list for Get Closure Now. We start in just over a month, but the doors open July 9th, and I'm only taking 20 people on in this live course. So you got to get on the wait list so you can get your consult, so you can see if you're approved to join the training, okay? So I appreciate you guys being here, and remember that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping, and I will see you guys tomorrow for live Q&A. You guys have a good night.